So the last time we introduced ourselves to Kali Linux. So today we'll be talking about Kali Linux Security and some other functions. Okay. So overview of Linux OS security. So why Linux security matters? So first, Linux powers many critical systems from servers to personal computers. Linux has different flavors. We have the Kali, we have the Ubuntu, we have Mint, we have Fedora, we have Red Hat, we have Parrot, we have Kubuntu, and the rest. We are making use of Kali. Now, Ubuntu is almost the same thing with Kali, but is not as sophisticated as Kali. The key areas that we'll be focusing on, we have the file permissions and access control. We have Linux security updates and package management. We have hardening Linux systems. So the first one, we have Linux file permissions and access control. Now, I know in our previous class, we talked a little about Linux file permissions. So we might have to still talk a little about it because it's actually very important when it comes to Linux. So role of file permissions, we say controls who can read, write, or execute files. The three main types of permission we have: write and execute. We said read has a value of 4, write has a value of 2, while execute has a value of 1. So understanding file permissions in Linux. Now, the permission structure of the Kali Linux. So we have the owner, we have group, and we have others. Now, owner is the person that actually created that file or that directory, while group is the group that that file or directory belongs to. Then we have others, which is other people that can actually have access to that particular file. For instance, now you created accounts for several people. Now you, as the main owner of the Linux operating system, if you create a particular file, now others now means those other people that you actually account for on your Linux. So we have if you look at it, it's represented in string. We have the RWX, which is read, write, execute. That is for the owner. Then the second R-X, which is supposed to be RWX, that is for the group. Then we have R-, which is also RWX, that is for others. So we have changing permissions. Use chmod, which is change mode, to modify file permissions. So let's try to do something like that because we have to be mixing practical together with theory. All right. So I go to my terminal now. I go to my terminal now. We can so let us try to create a file first. So let's create a directory and a file. So who can remind me the command we use in creating a directory? Who can remind me the command we use in creating a directory? Anyone?
mkdir.
All right, thank you. So mkdir, and let's say cipher. Let's say cipher base. All right. So if I list now, cipher base should be there already. Okay. So now let us change our directory to cipher base, create a file inside. So what's the command for creating a file? Anyone, what's the command for creating a file? Can you guys still hear me?
No file name.
Sorry, come again.
I said you can now know the file and then the file name. If it doesn't exist, it will create it.
So what if I just want to create it without using nano?
You can use touch.
Touch. txt. Right. So let us go back. So now let me check to check the permissions that a file has. Use ls, which is list dash a parameter l. So now if you do that, depending on the directory you are on, I'm in the home directory now. So now it's to list all the files and directories that are in that home directory. Now towards this side, you'll see where the file permission is. So now the cipher-based directory that I created, if you see dash in front, if it's anyone starting with dash, is actually a file. Now anyone starting with D is a directory. So now this is the directory that we created. Now if you look at the file permission, you see it has rws, r-x, r-x, which means the owner of this file has the read, write, and execute permission, right? Then the group the file is, or the directory is in, has only read and execute permission, does not have the permission to write, while the others have read and execute permission only. Now, who is the owner of this group? This Tony here is the owner of the group. Now, this Matt Legend is the owner of the directory. Now, this Matt Legend is the group it belongs to. So what it means is that this Tony here has the read, write, and execute permission, while this Matt Legend has the read and execute permission, which means anybody that is inside this group will be able to read and execute whatever is inside this, execute this directory. That is simply what that means. So now let's change, when I did the calculation last time, probably, let me just recap. So let me just make it, so let's say this is the owner so that you understand. The first one is owner. The second one is the group. While the last one is others. So what this means is that if, let's say for file, if this permission is actually set for a particular file, it means the owner has read, write, and execute, group has read, write, and execute, others also have the read, write, and execute. Now, how do you change this command? Or how did they come about this command? So to get this command, what they did was chmod 77, then the file that you want to change or the directory. So how did they come about this calculation? If R is 4 and W is 2, X is 1, that means we have for the owner, that means we have 4 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1. Then for the group, the same thing, which will give us 7, right? Then the same thing is repeated for the same thing is repeated. That is how you are able to get this 7, 7, 7. So now let's assume I want to give group just read and execute permission. Then this one I want to give it just read write permission. That means for this one I'll be having 7. That means for this one, I'll be having 4 through 1, which is 7. Then for this one, I'll be having 4 and 1. I'll be having 4 and 1, which is going to be 5. Then for this one, I'll be having 4 and 2, which is going to be 6. So that means for this particular file now that I have now, that means my chmod is going to be 7, 6, 5. That is just what that means. So let's go and here now. Yeah.
5, 6,
5, 6.
Oh, okay.
You said 7, 6, 5.
All right. You get what I mean. Sorry about that. So let us try it here. So chmod, then 7, 5, 6, right? Then the file or the directory. Now let us check the permission again. Now, if you see what we have here now, can you see this is what we calculated, which is the read, write, execute for the owner, read and execute for the group, while we have just read and write for others. So that is how you change your file permission if you don't just want anybody to have access to the file, or you don't want just to be able to execute the file. So this is how they implement a principle of least privilege. It's also a way of implementing the principle of least privilege in an organization. So you can set permission for those who can access a file in an organization. All right, let us continue. So that's for permission. Then we have the access control in Linux. Now, user and group management. Every user belongs to a group, and permissions can be set for individuals and groups. Now, to manage users, we manage users with the command user add, which is to add a user. Then we also have file ownership. Each file has an owner, like I explained. Once you create a file, the person creating the file is actually the owner of the file. Now, each file has an owner and a group associated with it. Now, we use change ownership to change a file ownership. So let us give that a try first. Now, assuming I want to change the ownership of a file, So let's say we want to change. Let's say we want to change the owner of this cipher-based directory that we created. So the command to do that, is change ownership. Okay, let me see another user I can actually change that to first. So I want to change, let's say, I'm coming, let me check the users that are still active here. Okay, this user is still active. So let us change. So I'll say change ownership. Then I have who I want to change it to. Let's change the ownership to the account training that we opened. So change ownership to training. Then which group am I talking about? The Math Legend group. Math Legend group, then the file, which is cipher base, or the directory, which is cipher base. So enter. Okay, not permitted because I did not make use of sudo. I need to use sudo to have. All right, so let us check if the file again. Now, if you see something, you see that the owner of this file, the owner of this directory has been changed to another user, which is another owner. Do you understand? Same thing goes for if you want to change the group also, you just change the group. So let's continue. Then now we have access control. We have access control list known as ACL on Kali Linux. Now, an access control list provides fine-grained permission control for files and directories. Now, unlike the traditional Unix permission system, which is the owner, group, and others, just like what we just did, ACL lets you give specific users or groups custom permissions. Now, it also helps to manage complex access scenarios, like maybe you have a shared project and you want a particular set of users to have permission to that file or to that directory. You can make use of ACL. Now, it also enhances security control on multi-user systems. Then example scenario, let's say you want a user student to have a read-write access to a file owned by root, but you don't want them to have full ownership. Now, the traditional permissions can't easily do that, but the ACL can actually do that. So now let's look at how we can install the ACL and how we can make use of the commands. So to install, we use, first you have to update your Kali, which is the sudo apt update. Then we use sudo apt install ACL-y. Okay, let's try that. But let me see if I have it first. So this is also another way of checking if you actually have a particular software or application on your Kali. If you type the application, then use -- version. If it gives you the version, then that means you have it on your Kali. So now I have the ACL application. I don't need to download the application. Now, if I want to check those who actually have permissions to a particular, the users that have permission to a particular file, so I can say get file access list. Now, get file access list for, let me say, the cipher base that I'll use. Now, you see, it will tell me those that actually have access to the directory cipher base. It says the owner is the training, then the group, this is Math Legend, then it's telling me that the user has this permission and group has this permission, while this permission. So let us check other commands that we could also make use of. So we have viewing current permissions. So ls-l to view permissions, we already did that. So we already tried this. This is what I tried now to see those who have permissions in that specific file. Now let us set file permissions. So we have to set the file permission. Let me see. Sudo set -n username permission and file. So now the U there is for to set user. If the U there, if we change it to G, that is for group. Then if we change it to O, that is for others. So let us try this command now to set ACL permission. Let's see. This sudo gets So another way to also know if your command actually exists is when you are typing your command and it becomes blue, you should know that that command actually exists. So we have the parameter -m, then user, then we have the user. So let's say training. The training. Then the permission we want to set. So let's say for the user, you should just have read write. Should just have the read write permission. Then the file we want to change that for. So let's say cipher base. Now enter. So let us check now. So to check, we use the get FAC of cipher base. So now that the user has been given a read-write permission. Now, if you notice that the read-write, the other permission did not actually override. So it gives it an extra permission, which is the read-write permission, which is something that I don't want the person to actually have. I don't want the person to actually have full access. Then I give the read-write permission. If you want to do the same thing for group also, so let me change this to group. So let's change name. See, and this is the command. Now you can see the group also has been given this permission. So this is how you set permissions for access lists, access control lists. So let us see how to actually remove that permission. To remove the permission, we use -x user and the file. So now let us check again. Now you see that we have removed the initial permissions which we gave that file. So that is how you remove permissions. So this is very useful for you to set proper list privilege rules. All right, let us continue. So we have Linux security updates and package management. Now, importance of keeping Linux updated. Just like Windows, regular updates are essential to fix security vulnerabilities and improve stability. So just like the Windows operating system, it is very essential that you actually fix your security vulnerabilities by making sure you update and you upgrade your system or your operating system. Now we have the APT, which is Advanced Package 2. Now in Debian-based systems, example, we have Ubuntu or we have Kali. Now it is used for installing and updating software updates and updating softwares. So the command is sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade. So the first one, you can always try the sudo apt. Let's just try sudo apt update. Now sudo apt update alone will just show you, it will show you the files or the softwares that needs upgrade. That is what the sudo apt updates will show you. Now it will show you the files that actually need upgrade. Sometimes it takes time. That's why I didn't want us to do it the last time. So let us see some of the tools that need. So can you see it is listing what each file or each software we take if I upgrade them. So let us finish listing. It is always very important that you update your operating system. So you see 2,564 packages can be upgraded. So this one, to run the list of upgradable, if you run this command, it will show you the list of upgradable. So if you just want to upgrade, you just say sudo apt upgrade. So it will just upgrade all those files that actually need. Can you see the files that need upgrade, that is upgrading? So then it will ask you if you want to continue. So you say yes, which is why then you enter. So it will upgrade everything that needs upgrading for you. So that's for installing packages and upgrading your operating system. So let us just, so this is what will happen then. It will upgrade everything for you. So let us continue. So we have log management. Now, where you can actually see your system logs, that is all the logs of how you log in, how you transfer files, you can see them under this directory, which is the var/log/sys log. So let us try that. Then for the authentication logs, you can see that under var/log/authentication auth.log. So let us try that and see. This one is too, let's open another. Sorry. What is, who can remind me the command for using to just show what is inside a particular file? What is the command to just show what is inside a particular file?
Is it echo?
Nano?
To show what is, I just wanted to show it on my terminal. I don't want to go into it.
LS.
Not to show my files, to show what is inside the file, like inside the text file.
Nano.
Command is cat. Command is cat. So for, yeah, that's the command. So cat. So now I want to just show what is inside my auth.log, where I can see my authentication logs. So the command is, the command is to just show it. If you don't want to just go to show it, or you can use nano also. That's if you want it to, if you want to use a text. So if I cut this now, you can see my sessions when my was opened by a particular user and when it was closed. So this is an example of a log. So now for SOC analysts, this is also part of what they do. They analyze logs like this to see what is actually going on. If probably any user is trying to log in that is not supposed to be, that is not part of the organization, or why a particular user had issues logging in. This is where you can actually check all that. So let us just going. So hardening Linux systems. Now, the hardening is the process of securing a system by reducing its attack surface and eliminating unnecessary vulnerabilities. So in cybersecurity, when they say hardening, now hardening is just the process of you trying to limit the attack surface. What is an attack surface? Attack surface are the areas that an actor can actually use to exploit your system or your network. Those are the areas they call the attack surface. That is the place that you see left open that an attacker can use to exploit your system. That is the attack surface. So you trying to secure your system by reducing the possible attack surfaces that an attacker can use to gain access into your network or your system is known as hardening. So now key aspects of hardening, we have restricting services, applying security configurations, and implementing logging and monitoring. So we have securing network services. Now limit remote access, make use of firewalls, example IP tables or UFW. Now the firewall used on the Kali Linux is known as UFW, which stands for Uncomplicated Firewall. So that is the UFW I told you guys to download with that command. So it means Uncomplicated Firewall. Now configure SSH for secure access. Now disable root login, change the default port, use key-based authentication. Now we have firewall configuration. Now set simple rules UFW, that is UFW enable, UFW allow SSH. We'll be doing that. Then to install firewall and all that. Okay, so let us just go into that. So what we're talking about was trying to, if you want to connect your Windows to your Kali remotely using SSH, which is a secure connection tunnel, this is how you go about it. So first, we say you make sure you download your SSH, and the command to download SSH is sudo apt install OpenSSH-server. That is the command to download your SSH. Now, because I already have it, if I try to download it now, telling me that I already have the newest version. And the next thing to download will be your UFW, which is full meaning is Uncomplicated Firewall. That is the firewall we'll be making use of. So to download that, you just use sudo apt install UFW. So that is that. Then now for you to make sure that they are running, first, let me check my status. I think mine is still running. So let me just check the status, then I'll turn it on and off. So to check that, you use the command systemctl. I told you systemctl is what Kali uses to run its services. So if you want to turn on a service or check the status of a service, Kali makes use of systemctl. So I'll use systemctl status and SSH. So as you can see my status now, it is active and is also enabled. So let me turn it on and off. So to turn it off, I say stop systemctl, stop SSH. Give me a password. To stop SSH. Then let's check the status. Can you see it is now inactive? Now for this, to disable this, you just say systemctl disable. Disable. Sorry, permission denied. I did not use sudo, so let me use sudo. Sudo systemctl disable h. So now let me check the status again. If you check the status now, you can see that it has been disabled and it is now inactive. So for you to turn it back on, just say sudo systemctl start SSH. Then to enable, systemctl enable SSH. So if you check the status now, you check the status now, you can see it is now active and it is enabled. All right. So the same for the UFW. So let us check the status of UFW also. So sudo systemctl status UFW. Now you can see that my UFW is active and is also enabled. So to disable it and to stop it is the same command. So sudo ctl stop UFW. Now it has been stopped. Now to disable, we use disable. And now let us check the status again. So you discover that it is now inactive and it has been disabled. So for you to make it active, you use start. Then for you to enable, you use enable. So if you check the status again now, you can see it is now active and it is now enabled. So now for you to now check the status of your firewall to know the ports that are actually being enabled or that have been allowed, we just say sudo UFW status. Now it will show you here are the ports, this side are the ports. Then here's the status, that is, if you look at it now, port 22 is allowed, port 80 is allowed. So if I want to stop the access to port 22, all I'll just do is sudo UFW deny 22. Now, if I now check the status again, you discover that I have denied port 22, but we are making use of port 22 because that is SSH. So what I do now is allow. So allow 22. If I check the status again, you discover that it has been allowed. All right. So now let's us try to connect our Windows to this. So the first thing I do is to check for my Kali IP address. So I use the command IPA. So now this is my IP. And I copy this. Then I head over to my Windows. Open my PuTTY. My PuTTY here, then I paste the IP address here, and I open. So you just say accept. So now let me do this. So now log in as, so now let's try to log in as another account, not the accounts that we actually logged in for now. So I think we open an account training. So if I say login as training, then the password for that training. So can you see I have access to my, this is on Windows now. This is Windows, this is not Kali anymore. So and I have access to my Kali. So I can do basically everything I can do on my Kali because I've connected to my Kali remotely. So let us try and something. So let me switch account to this. Let me switch account to this. So as you can see now, these are the directories I have here. So now let me head over to my Kali. Let me do the same thing. You see that it is the same, sorry, the same directories that it is also showing me, which means I can do the same thing I'm doing there. So now let me come here now. Let us create a directory. So if I say mkdir, let's say connection underscore test .txt. Sorry, connection underscore test. So enter. So let us check the directory. So you can see the directory has been created. So let us seed into that directory and create a file there. Just echo and let me check this. So connection.txt has been created. So let me cut connection.txt. So can you see what I wrote inside after cutting it? Now let me move the file into, so let me move it into the directory connection in the context. So if I list now, it is no longer here. But if I list what is inside connection, so we can see it is under this directory. So let's try to do some bash scripting here too for you to see. Or first, let me show you. Let's go to our Kali. Now, if you check now, you discover that directory has been created. Now, if we see into the directory, you discover that, okay, let us list. You discover that this is the text file that we created. So if I should cut this text file now, so you see what I wrote inside. And if you can start to use nano, so you see what I wrote inside. All right. So let us go back here and do some bash scripting. So let us say, back. So let me create a directory. So let's say nano, let's say connect bash .sh. .sh. Okay. So first we use our shebang and /bin /bash. All right, so what should we do? Let us do something simple. So we say echo creating directory. So now let us tell it to create the directory. So mkdir bash new. Then what else can we tell it to do? Let's say echo creating text file into bash new. So now let us create a text file. So touch test1.txt and .txt into bash. Let us Control X, Y, enter. Then for this file to be executable, we have to make it executable. So say chmod, then plus X, and connect it. So this executable now. So for us to execute it, we just use this SSH. So can you see it's the command we use? We said you should create a directory. Now it would have created the directory. So we now say you should create a text file into bash new. So permission denied. Okay, let us check what was wrong with that. So let me now know this. What was wrong with this? Okay, let's just say you should just. Okay, let us first tell it to change directory into bash new. So let's say it should tell us that it's changing directory into bash new. To change dir into bash.new. Then to change dir, the command for changing is cd bash new. So echo creating text file in bash new. Touch. All right, so let us do this. Let us run it again. The file exists already. Okay, we've created that file. So now let us look at what it did. So first, it's created. So first, it created the directory bash new. So now let us see whether it's created our file into bash new. verify ls now. So can you see that it's created our test file? So these are just some things that you can use your bash scripting to do just to make work easy. All right. So let us go back to Kali now and see all those things that we did there. So the bash new that was created, you can see it here. So if I list what is inside bash new now, I list what is there now, you can see the test file that we created. All right. So if I now turn off now the security aspect of it for you to know what a port actually does when it is not allowed. So let us check the status of our ports now. I want to check the status. So we have 22 port 22 under TCP open, 22 under TCP. So now let us deny. So UFW deny 22. Let us also deny 22 under TCP. Let's deny that. So now let us check our status now. So can you see TCP 22 port 22 under TCP has been denied and everything has been denied. So now let's go back to our and see whether we can still access this. Okay, and access this. Let us start over again. See whether we access this. So let me check my IP address again. What was the IP address? Okay. So now look at what will happen now. So can you see we cannot communicate under port 22 because port 22 is not open because we have actually closed down the access to port 22. All right. So that's just